Bem-vindos a Inteligências Lúdicas, meu nome é Rodrigo Manique e estou aqui com meu brother Lepê para um convidado muito especial, que é Tomas. Hello, Tomas.
Hi there.
First of all, we'd like to thank you very much, Lepê and I, for you being here with us. And could you tell us your name, if I said correctly?
Yeah, you said it really well. The first name, it's Tomas, and the surname is Uhlir, which could be quite a challenge, actually.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Lepê. So, we have plenty of questions to know about you, about your games, and especially this one, which it's about to be released in Brazil by Devir. And tell me, where are you from? Where do you live?
I'm from Czech Republic, and here I live in Prague, which is the capital there, right?
And what can you tell us about your early gaming experience? When you start playing, what was your the first game you played?
I think I started quite early, and I remember that my dad actually introduced my brother and me to those adventure books, like those game books. You probably know them, and we had a really great time playing them. And I think that was the first time we started with something similar, like a board games. And later on, we played many board games that were available at the time in Czech Republic, which there wasn't that many, that wide variety of games like today. Some of them were only made from paper. You needed to cut them and sometimes even glue them together. So it was quite creative, actually, to being able to play them. And later on, I think I even one of those first games I really remember that give me a great impression was actually Hero Quest, which my dad somehow got it great for us. And I was maybe 8 years old, something like that. And we played it a ton with my brother, and all over again, all through it again. And we started designing our own stuff for it, because the games even that it just begs you for that. So I think that was how I actually started.
And the first game you released, which one was it? Because you worked with lots of print and play as well.
That's right, but actually the first release game, it was much earlier. It was in, I believe, 2007, something like that. It was called Lab Origins. It was looking at it now from today's perspective, it was a very easy, not very well designed game. I must say I'm not that proud about it. But at that time, it was something great for me, and I also designed it with my brother. And but at that time, we were mostly children still, so it was more family game or children game, something like that. But I believe that when I really got into designing games was much later, sometime around 2017, I would say. When it was the first time that I entered this one of those print and play contests on Board Game Geek, and that time it was with my game First Snow, and it was the same as with later, 2 years later, with Under Falling Skies. It was a 9-card contest, which means that you're supposed to design a board game using only 9 simple poker-sized cards and just a few other components, 18 other components. It's a part of the challenge, being able to build the whole game just with this limited amount of stuff. And that's actually something I enjoyed a lot about it. That's I had great fun just thinking about how to get the game out of it. And so I think that was the time I really started with designing some more interesting games, or let's say.
You're now a full-time game designer. It's your professional.
Yeah, kind of. I work in CGE, in Czech Games Edition, for about a year and a half, something like that. Actually, I started working with CGE around the time that I've been finishing the Under Falling Skies for that 9-can contest. So it was actually very interesting timing, because it was a super busy time for me back then. I was mostly like quitting my previous job and starting to work for CGE, and at the same time like finishing this small game for the contest. And so yeah, we can say that I'm kind of a designer. At least I do some living out of it. But it's not like that in Czech Games Edition, because in that company, I think like most of the people somehow get involved in the whole process. So it's not like you have one designer who does everything, or who like being the only one who takes responsibility for the projects or whatever. There are like more people, and all of them are involved in the process. So yeah.
Many meetings.
Is your brother a game designer as well?
Actually, he started to work in Czech Games Edition quite recently. Mm-hmm. So we are like working now together, which is also very interesting. It's a very nice experience. So yeah, kind of. I mean, we used to sometimes do some brainstorming sessions together, or we used to do some game jams. Yeah, you probably know them. Like just get together over the weekend and try to come up with something, with some playable game. So yeah, kind of. He helps me a lot when yeah.
Working with a brother can be heaven or hell. It's I sometimes work with my brother. I can tell you, it can be heaven and hell. How can you describe as your creative process? Where does it start? You think of a theme and then you implement something over the theme. You think over a mechanic. You dream about something. You stumble on something in the middle of the street and boom, a magic bulb brings over your head and there is a game. Where does it start? What is your process?
I mean, it's a bit different every time, I would say, as you would probably expect. But what really helps me is to have some kind of restriction, something that like boosts your creative process. And this is why those 9-car contests were actually that interesting for me, because like just sitting down and saying, okay, so I need to design a game and I can do like everything. I can have any number of components, or I can do whatever I want. It's very difficult to actually start. So like having some kind of restrictions is actually very, very helpful. I mean, it doesn't need to be just the amount of components, but you can tell yourself, okay, so I would like to design a, I don't know, deck building game, or a game using dice, or a game about I don't know, whatever theme you can come up with. So starting with some restriction, it's very helpful. But usually, I think when I really start with some game, I first come up with some interesting mechanic, just some really core thing that I believe that I could like build the whole game around it. And then just very shortly after that, I try to come up with a theme that could fit this mechanic very well. And then it goes like all together. You have both the theme and both the core mechanism, and you try to come up with other mechanisms that to support the theme. So, yeah.
Shall we talk a lot about Under Fallen Skies? Sure. How did you have the idea? How did you get the idea for the game? Because it started as a free solo game, print and play, right? And
that's right.
Yeah. And this game as a solo game is always something that when I saw a long time ago the rules and I actually put in to play, it's something that as a solo game, is always reacting to anything I do. You know, every action, it has a reaction tied to it, right? And this is really brilliant, because usually I play several. I have my top 10 every year of solo games, and this year I haven't made it yet. And usually we play, we do this, everything, and then we put you pick a card, and then it does something. That's it. You are totally different. You have to be careful with every choice you make, right? And actually, it reminds me of a Space Invaders, but with many layers, great story. Could you please tell us a little bit about your...
Yeah, actually, it's a good point, because it was one of the starting ideas. Maybe the most important was, again, the amount of components, because since you have so little components to use, then you need to get the maximum out of each of those components. So I started by thinking, okay, so it should be a solo game, and it should use dice. And when I have a die, what can I do with it? I mean, okay, so it obviously can be used to some kind of dice placement mechanism when you place it somewhere and trigger some action. But it's too simple, and I wouldn't be able to build the whole game around just this, because I don't have any other components I could use. So I needed to tie it, like, more things into placing this one die. And I think the groundbreaking idea was to use it both for triggering your actions and the reaction of the enemy. That was that core idea I spoke about before. And once I got this, then I started to think about a theme that could fit this mechanic. And obviously, it would fit very well some kind of a tower defense game. So I decided, I could go with some medieval theme or fantasy theme or whatever, and I decided to go for Space Invaders, like to try something a bit different than it's already on the market, on something you're not that used to, actually. Then, because I decided it should be a solo game, I did. To be honest, I wasn't that much a solo gamer back then. I played some games solo, but I wasn't like a really dedicated solo gamer. So I did some research. I tried some solo games. I read a lot about them, and I said what's really important for me to have in solo game. And one of the core things was that I didn't like all those automas, like all those decks of cards that, you just draw a card and then you do what's written there. And it felt like too disconnecting from the game, because there was too much upkeep in the game. So I think, okay, so if it should be a solo game, then you should be playing all the time or most of the time, because it's only you over there. And this is a big advantage of solo games. You don't need to wait for your opponents to play their move. You can play all the time. And actually, this mechanic did it really well, because you're controlling both your actions and both the enemy, which as you said, could be quite challenging, like to figure it out, the whole puzzle and such. So it was one of the first premises for to build a game around it. Yeah.
Choose
another. Another interesting aspect that the game evolved from a nine card game, and now the game has solo mode, campaign mode, characters that evolve, cities, technologies, and lots of surprises. How was the process before the game was ready? It was a print and play, and you was free to put whatever you want without component limitations, without any of this. Why you chose Space Invaders?
This is a really, really good point about it. That the game started very small, and that's actually something I quite like about it, because it was super portable. It was very easy for anyone to build it, to create it. So I really like this. And when we decided in CGE that we would like to publish the game, then we were like deciding when to do that. And actually, if we should go with just this small game, or should we do something more about it? And I mean, I'm quite happy that we decided we would like to do something more. But there was also an option that we will like publish it like earlier, and do it like just some even cheaper and even simpler game. I mean, mostly containing just the 9-card version of the game, maybe with something more and with professional graphics and everything, but being it like much more simple. But then we decided we would like to do something more. We would like to like give the game the care. They added all the care, and we will be developing it for, I don't know, about a year or at least several months. And then I'm really happy about the opportunity that actually CGE gave me, because usually when you pitch some idea, some design idea to a publisher, then not always you have such a big control over the game. But because I was working for CGE, then I had like mostly the control over the whole process, like from illustrations, from components, or the whole production. I was involved in all of this, and I think this actually allowed us to like do those interesting things with the game. Like you said, there's a campaign mode, for example, which is a big part of the game, and actually, I can if you'd be interested, I can speak a bit about how it actually happened to have a campaign mode in there.
Yes, of course.
Because I was quite intrigued by those legacy style games, and I quite like them. But I didn't like that much that you need to destroy the game and it's only for one use. But even then, I mean, I think the biggest disadvantage actually for legacy style games is that they are pretty expensive. And while they will be like, while they'll fit very well for solo games, because there are not many solo games like built into the legacy games, but it's very natural for solo game, because you have just the one player, so you don't need to get all the other players together to play the game, so you can continue whenever you want. So I think it actually fits solo games much better. But the problem is that the cost, because with a legacy game, the cost is much higher, and when you're buying a solo games, you don't want to pay that much for the game. So we needed to keep the cost very low, and then again, it was very helpful that I was working in CGE, because we could really look into the amount of components we could use, or the types of components we could use. And we actually started from a different direction. Usually when you're developing a game, you first develop the game, the whole game design and stuff, and then you start thinking about the components. I mean, what components I need and how many of them I need, and then you figure out the price and such. But we did it like we started with the price. We said, okay, so this should be a game costing 30 euros, and what can we afford to put into the box for this price? And there we started. So it was a similar process like with those 9-card design contests. Like I had my restrictions. I was very happy about that. And I can start from there. So I thought, okay, so we can have like 16 layers of cardboard in the box. So what can we do with that? And then every other decision about the game was tied to this, to actually fit it into this into the cardboard we could afford. And so there couldn't be even like even one more city or one more scenario or whatever, because we use the whole cardboard to the very maximum. I mean, there's not even much space left on the cardboard. It's very, very, really used to its fullest. So, yeah. But again, I think this was only possible because I was working for CGE, because and like being able to be involved in the process that much.
So very cool.
It's fun because it's almost like reverse engineering. You
Yeah.
have a price, and from there you work to the product. It's an interesting approach.
Actually,
Let me ask you something else. You took one of the biggest electronic games hits, that is Space Invaders, and you turn him in a full analog game. What do you think about using technology with board games? Like an app that helps you do something, or something like Detective, that you have a web page to record during game. What do you think? You think analog games should be played 100% analog, or you think there is a sweet spot when you can use technology in conjunction without spoiling the immersion or the sensation of playing an analog game?
yeah, I like this question. Actually, I mean, I really like the possibility to use this kind of technical advancements, and I mean, today it's very affordable to just have some app and use it for the game. But I think it's very important that the app actually gives do something important for the game. It's not just a gimmick to actually I don't know, so you can say, okay, we have this app that you can use with the game and whatever, and so that's one thing that I think is very important, that it really needs to make sense for the game. And another thing is that it doesn't need to, I mean, it's very it could be a bit challenging to not make it look that the game would be better as a digital game, because when you already use the app, then it's just a small. I mean, it's still a huge step, but it seems as a small step to making it a digital game, and you can find out that it would work better as a digital game than a board game. So I think this is another aspect you need to take into account when designing it. But as you probably know, in CGE, CGE has also a section like designing digital games. I mean, mostly board game adaptations of our digital adaptations of our board games. And we also use some apps for some of our board games, like you probably know Alchemist, which I think fits perfectly this, because I mean, without the app, the board game wouldn't work, or it would work like it would be very fiddly, very difficult. So for this game, I think it makes perfect sense. And still, the game, it's a great experience to play it on the table, and I think it wouldn't be the same like playing it digitally. So I think that's actually what I mean.
Yes, yeah. I can imagine Alchemist without.
You would need a slave player doing all the app stuff, and the others will play the game. Yeah,
I believe it's even possible in the rules. It's even written in the rules. But as you said, I mean, you need one player who's actually not playing, who's just doing all these upkeeping stuff for you.
You would be a slave doing the labor of the app.
Oh, yeah. Yes, and we have one of our friends here at the channel, jackexplicador. He usually plays this game here with a friend. They sometimes with his son, with his wife, and look. We should do this now. Let's keep. And he loves it. He played with the game, and he played live only just the first scenario, the introductory, without showing everything else to not spoil everyone. And the people really, and what should we do, guys? Okay, we do this. Okay, and people really loved it. I will send you the link after our recording, so for you to see. And that's what I wanted to tell you. And what a surprise! I don't want to spoil anything, but there is I live in Rio de Janeiro, and you you might know what I mean. Right? I was
That's
able
cool.
to save something, and it was really nice because people will are board games in Brazil are very it's growing very hard, very fast, and this game also connects our childhood where we played this kind of video game, and now we and the moment we are facing now where we cannot see our friends, we cannot be with them, and your game is arriving like a like a spaceship to save us all to play. And it that's why we are really happy to have you here to share your story with this amazing and this experience, because it's not just a game, it's an experience.
Thank you.
It's
very nice to hear that. It's I mean, I'm very happy about you talking about your friend who plays the game like cooperatively with other people or with his friends, because I always like dreamed that the game could be played like this. I mean, even if it's a solo game, I think for some reason it works pretty well as a cooperative game. And I think it's mostly because the decisions in the game are not easy. I mean, there's not like one best decision to make there, and you can like discuss the decisions and have an argument which one is better, what is better to do now, what is better to do later, and so I think that's a reason that it actually works well even as a cooperative game, even if it's designed as a solo game. So yeah,
very nice. Vai lá, Lepe.
What is how is you handling social distancing and board gaming? How is your process? You're using digital platforms. You're playing with a selected group of people like your brother. How are you handling social distancing during the pandemic?
I mean, to be honest, it's been a pretty challenging time, and as you might know, I mean, it wasn't all good in Czech Republic as well. It was pretty huge with COVID and such. So I mean, we as well needed to figure out how to actually work under these circumstances. And I think the big advantage, I mean, now I'm speaking about CGE, and the big advantage in CGE is that we already been used to work digitally a lot. I mean, remotely a lot. Because some of people working for CGE live in Prague, and other people live in Brno, which is quite far away from Prague. And so we have like regular calls, like regular meetings, and we had them even before the COVID and before the whole situation. So we are quite used to it. But even then, it was pretty challenging, especially for like playtesting the games and playtesting new games. Yeah. And so right now we've been like playing most of the games digitally, digitally using mostly tabletop simulator, I don't know, board game arena, whatever, or even our own implementation. I mean, you might know that we had a pretty good implementation for Under Falling Skies. We used it in various shows, various events, like which couldn't happen like physically. So they were like digital events, and so I'm happy that it could be done at least this way, even if it wasn't ideal. So yeah, I mean, I must agree, it's pretty challenging. It's getting a bit better right now. So we already started to meet each other in the office again. I mean, under some restrictions, we are like testing ourselves like every time and such. So, but even then, I mean, it's I'm really happy that it's happening again. That it's again possible to meet the people and like meet them for real. It's as you would probably agree that it can be even a bit exhausting, like playing the games just digitally. And it's even more challenging for the prototypes, because it's not like a super polished, finished game. It's usually something that could be fiddly even on the table, and it's even more fiddly when you play digitally. So, yeah.
And LP has the final question.
We have a block here in the program that calls games that fill in your pocket. The game fills in your pocket, or because the box is small, or because the price tag is low. Could you name us, for you, the best 3 games that fits in your pocket?
Yes, sometimes it's because of the price, sometimes it's because of the size. This is not as small as my pocket, but I will do everything to fit in it.
I mean, you can still do the print and play version, because
exactly,
as we agreed in Czech Games Edition, we wanted to keep the print and play available even after the game got published. So you still have the option to just print it, build it, and try the game even before buying it. But I think there are many more really interesting games like of this size. You probably know, for example, Button Shy, which does this kind of games. And I think there are some really interesting games coming out of those contests, especially this 9-card contest, which is one of the most popular ones, especially because it's very easy to build a game by yourself. You don't even need to buy it. You just need to print one sheet of paper, cut it into cards, and you have a game. And I remember some of them that were from the same years as I attended, with First Snow and then with Under Falling Skies. And I quite like, for example, the Pocket Landship, which got published as well later on, or Orchard, which is one of those very successful print and play game as well. So I think those are good examples of that.
Neat. Very nice. Very nice. Tomas, we would like to thank you very much for your time, for being here with us, for bringing such an amazing experience, adventure, and we are pretty sure people in Brazil will really love. People are in our communities here. When is going to be released? When is going to be released? Okay, we are soon.
You took something from our childhood, you made it fresh, you made it interesting. You made us want to play it again. So we'd like to thank you for that, for the experience, for the hours of enjoyable playing. So thank you very much, Tomas.
I mean, thank you very much, guys. It's so nice to hear that, and I mean, it was a real pleasure to talking to you. It's I mean, it even helped me to remind some things as well, which is always nice. So thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to hear about players from Brazil or Portugal or even Spain. I mean, there are even the game is already in Spain, so people are already playing it. But it's always nice to hear about people and their experience with the game, how they played, how they enjoy it, how they even struggle with it. It's always nice to read about it or hear about it. So thank you very much. It was really a pleasure.
Thank you. E galera, temos aqui o Tomas, que ele trouxe tudo aqui falou do joguinho que está saindo logo no Brasil. Então, galera, fica atento, porque em breve vamos ter mais novidades de Under Falling Skies. Então, um abraço para todos. Até mais.
Até mais. Bye bye.
Let me finish.